People love to say Jesus doesn't know when he is going to return, but I'm going to prove to you in just a moment that he does know the day and the hour. Hi, I'm Robert Payton, author of Revelations of Grace and Mercy, bringing you the truest interpretation of the book of Revelation. Today, I am discussing and going to explain to you how Jesus does know the day and the hour, and it's all because of this scroll. This is a representation of the scroll that was in God the Father's hands back during the Old Testament times that one of the prophets saw. This scroll is in chapter 5 of the book of Revelations. When John was taken up to heaven, he saw God the Father with this scroll in his hand. That there's writing on both sides, the inside and the outside. And he noticed that there was writing on both sides, the inside and the outside. Now John could see it, everyone in heaven could see it. And if everyone in heaven see it, then that means Christ himself could see it. That means Jesus knew. Now the scroll was also seen in the Old Testament times. Now Christ knew what was written on the outside of the scroll before he came down to become the Son of Man. That Christ read this scroll, what was everything that was on this scroll, on the outside of it, long before he became the Son of Man. Take a minute and let it sink in. When he came down and became the Son of Man and grew up and gathered his disciples, he told his disciples what was written on the outside of the scroll because it was very important to him. Jerusalem is very important to them. So he told his disciples about what he saw was on the outside of the scroll. And what was on the outside of the scroll was what Matthew, Mark, and Luke wrote down for us. Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. And it was for the upcoming events in the future, specifically when they were discussing the temple. Jesus remembered and said, oh yeah, this is what's written on the outside of that scroll. And what's written on the outside of the scroll is the destruction of the Jerusalem, how war breaks out, famine, death for Jerusalem, and the destruction of the temple. All this occurred in 70 AD during Jerusalem's 7-year tribulation time, which occurred 2,000 years ago. Now, in Revelation chapter 6, John watches Christ, his friend, his Lord and Savior, remove these seals 2,000 years ago in our time. It's not in our future. This is 2,000 years ago. Christ removed the first seal. What was written under that seal is the simple vision you're given of an upcoming rider of a horse, and a bow is given to him. The second one basically is war. What's written underneath here? The third one's famine. Fourth one's death. Some call these the 4 horsemen apocalypse, but they're not in our future. They came to Jerusalem in 70 AD. The fifth seal is the souls under the altar, those people that stood by their God and was executed and murdered and slaughtered in Jerusalem. Matthew 24 verse 21 says, "For there will be trouble then," that's in Jerusalem, "worse than there has ever been from the beginning of the world until now, and there will be nothing like it again." This means after Jerusalem's destruction, which occurred in 70 AD, it will never happen again. However, the sixth seal is in our future. The sixth seal, when it's removed, it reveals the sun and the moon growing dark. This is the exact same thing, the sixth seal. This is the key, the sixth seal. Revelation 6:12 is the key to Matthew, Mark, and Luke. It helps you understand that this is all the same thing. The outside of the scroll is the same thing that's written down in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. The destruction of Jerusalem in the temple, souls under the altar. In the sixth seal, it says the sun will grow dark and the moon turns to blood. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, it's there as well. This is your time point on the timeline to start on your timeline and to begin working back and forth and to put everything in the book of Revelations, Daniel, and all the books of the Bible in order on a timeline. Matthew, Mark, and Luke tells us there was after those days, after those times, and after the age of faith. Now, a day to God is 1,000 years to man, so that's days with an S. So that's at least 2 days, that's 2,000 years. Time is 1,000 years, so that's 2 times with an S, so that's 2,000 years. But all books, and the age of faith. Christ himself has given us hints that sometime after 2,000 years, he is going to return. When he returns, is what we find written on the inside of the scroll. Because the 6th seal was removed. This is where the confusion gets in. This seal was removed 2,000 years ago. This 7th seal was removed 2,000 years ago. This scroll was opened up 2,000 years ago, and everything that's inside, he read 2,000 years ago. So, once he opened the scroll, John began seeing visions, and each vision must be put together with the other visions to form the long timeline of their events. As I said before, and I say now, Christ does know the day and the hour, because he opened this scroll 2,000 years ago. As Christ is, so are you in this world. And if Christ knows what's written in and outside of this scroll, so should you. And if Christ knows the day and the hour, so should you. You are a high priest, made a high priest by Jesus Christ himself, a servant of the Most High God, a son of God, a daughter of God. So you are to know the day and the hour, as Christ himself knows.